What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video. Let's talk about one of my favorite bands probably over the last 6 to 8 years or so. That band is Khruangbin, or Khruangbin. I think Khruangbin is the pronunciation here. A neo soul psychedelic, mostly instrumental trio that reigns from Houston, Texas. So, quick backstory: I got into Khruangbin, which is Thai for airplane, by the way. That's the translation. I got into them when I was in graduate school. This was back in maybe 2015, 2016 or so, and it was just outside of the scope of music that I was listening to. I mean, I was pretty vanilla in the sense of a lot of just classic rock, some pop stuff, that sort of thing. But I had a supervisor in grad school who was listening to this just in his office throughout the day, and I was like, man, what is that? I mean, it is just like so casual, so laid back, psychedelic, it's soulful, it's instrumental, it just puts you in the mood, especially during the summertime, all that kind of stuff. And he had kind of told me, hey, here's the band. And since then, I've been really hooked. And so I just wanted to spend a couple minutes and jump on here and talk about a little bit about the band itself and my experience with seeing them live several weeks ago here in Columbus. So I do not have their debut, which I really need. So if anybody's out there and wants to be great, feel free to send it to me. But their debut came out, I believe, in 2015, called The Universe Smiles Upon You. And I believe at that time that was released on Bedtime Stories or Nighttime Stories. Nighttime Stories is the name of the label. But a couple years later, they came out with their second record called Con Todo El Mundo. And this was released both on Nighttime Stories as well as Dead Oceans. Dead Oceans, a lot of you will know, they're an independent label out of the sort of Bloomington, Illinois trio, which is kind of part of the secretly Canadian thing. It's a little bit complicated, but a lot of great artists are on Dead Oceans. You're talking about Duran Jones, you're talking about Mitski, you're talking about Phoebe Bridgers, you're talking about a lot of these other soul groups that are on there. But they've been on Dead Oceans for a while. So this is Con Todo El Mundo. This came out in 2018, and this was a pretty big hit for them. Friday Morning was huge. Evan Finds Himself in the Third Room was huge. You know, a lot of these you've probably heard. They've been used in like some commercials and that sort of thing. But what's cool about them, again, they're just a trio. It's just guitar, bass, and drums. Mark Spears on guitar, Laura Lee Ochoa on bass, and she sort of serves as the musical director, and then DJ Johnson on drums. Just trio, again, mostly instrumental, just so soulful, psychedelic, just laid back, awesome stuff. If there are people who do participate in the recreational drug use, I'll get to that in a second. That's not me, but I'll talk about that in a second because that played a part here. So this was 2018, I believe. Several years ago, this was, I believe, a COVID release. So this was maybe 2020 or 2021. 2020, this came out, and this is Mordecai. Huge album for them as well. Again, still on Dead Oceans here. Some great stuff on here. This was, believe, this was an indie exclusive here on this sort of pink transparent, limited to I think 3,000. But again, an amazing record, part of the whole collection as well. But they were touring in support of their brand new record that came out either this year or just last year. I actually don't remember. I think it did come out actually this year, called A La Sala. And here's what was cool. I had planned on getting the record, but for me, one of the things that I do is if I'm seeing a band on tour for that record, I will typically wait to get their record, unless there's some kind of really special like thing on the pre-order. I will wait to get the record and see what they have available at merch. Sometimes it's a complete miss. Other times you get some really cool stuff. And I'm happy that this time I waited. I did not get the standard copy. I waited and went to the merch table during the show and got something pretty cool. So this is the record here, A La Sala. This is one of the alternative or alternate art, I guess, pieces. They did a couple of these, which are really cool. What's brilliant, though, about this is one of the coolest pieces of vinyl I think there is. This is just absolutely beautiful here. Yeah, how's that, huh? That is dope. And again, I think, you know, standard kind of like pricing or whatever at the merch, but not that this matters because it's not like I'm going to sell it, but then these become like the big collectible things, and it's really cool that you have them. So a specialty one. So I bought this at the merch table at the show, along with one other thing that I'll talk about here in a second. So we get there, the show starts. I mentioned this is a band that I think the fans enjoy partaking in the drugs. Let's just say it that way, right? Whether you want to compare them to the Grateful Dead or some of these other jam bands or whatever, people there, and let's just say they're tripping, right? I mean, it's more than just like people like on weed, but it was a really hot day, super humid, and it was about to rain later. So it was really humid that day. And the band had to stop, I believe, 3 times within the first about 20 minutes because someone in the audience had passed out and they were waiting for like emergency personnel to come in. Now, here's what was funny. I looked up the set list after the show, and it turns out the same thing happens everywhere. So it's not just a Columbus thing. I mean, this is a fan thing. People pregame like crazy. They drink, smoke, eat, trip, whatever they do, inject, I don't know, like crazy, and go to these shows, and they fall out because they don't know how to handle themselves. Like, I get it. Like, here's the thing. Get safe. I'm glad people took care of them. I hope they're okay. But it's like, I don't know, like, have fun, do your thing. I'm not judging that, but like, come on, like, be able to, keep it together. So it was a little bit weird because they paused the show so many times. I think they ended up cutting their set back about 20 minutes because of all the pauses, because of all these people falling out during the show. And so definitely something that they're used to because, they sort of had a policy or a protocol from the stage to stop the show and get it going. But enough of that. Let's talk about the good news. It was a great show. 2 sets they played. Their first set was all this record. So they played this record all the way through and then came back for their second set and played more. So it was about, I'd say, about an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours played. Started storming on us. It was a rain or shine show. It was actually kind of cool. But it was just an amazing show. I mean, see these cats live is just something else. But here's the cool thing. So not only do I want to buy the merch in terms of the record, if it's there sort of thing, this has been going on, I guess, for several years now, but I never really got into it until semi-recently. And that are these bands or these artists that work with an independent artist to do some kind of show or city-specific piece of art, whether it's a lithograph, poster, whatever. And that, of course, is what Khruangbin has done throughout this tour, is they partner with some kind of independent artist to do city-specific posters. I know Pearl Jam does it. I know Coheed does it. I know the Rolling Stones are doing it right now with their horrible artwork, all those different things. But this was really dope. And they're limited, their number, they sell out really quickly. I think this was limited to 100, but I decided to pick one up. And I'm going to try to show it. It's a 24 by 36, so it's not the smallest thing. But I'm going to try to show this. Yeah, here this is. So this is the Columbus Topiary Park, which is a very Columbus-specific thing based on kind of the shrubberies there. But what's cool when I kind of lift that up here, you get Khruangbin, Kemba Live, you get the date, all those different things. And then this is numbered, I believe this is number 49 out of 100. And so this is cool. Framed, going to hang this up. I think stuff like that is just the coolest. I'm not a huge poster guy unless it is signed or it's city specific, right? Like, I don't want to just buy a poster. I want it to be specific to the city that I saw them in, or something specific to home, or something that is signed. And obviously best if it's both, right? So I wanted to pick that up. So show was great. Got the poster, got the specialty vinyl, cool thing. But it gets better. The very next day, I was at home flipping through Instagram, and I saw one of my local stores, Used Kids Records, which is the biggest record store in Columbus, held up something on their Instagram and said, hey, for any of the people who are still feeling it from last night at the show, come in now. We have a limited number of signed copies of Khruangbin's latest album. So, of course, because we have a problem, because I have a problem, this was the most expensive damn show I've ever been to in my entire life. But of course, I had to rush in, get the record. This is the actual original artwork. And there you go. The signatures there. I can't make out who's who. It doesn't really matter, I guess. But of course, now I have 2 copies. One is the specialty tour copy. The other is the original or normal copy, but signed by all the people. such is life, right? This is what we do. So all in all, it was a very expensive show, bought a lot of shit, but it was a great show. And I think this is what I like about the whole collecting piece, right? It's the stories, it's the memorabilia, it's that kind of stuff that gets me going. You know, this is, I guess, a time I will have two of the same records, but they're different to me, right? They involve different things and they mean different things. And so it's not just throwing, you know, money at a bunch of records to say I have them. So yeah, if you're into sort of the whole neo-psychedelic, neo-soul thing, again, it's instrumental, so it's very non-offensive in terms of like, you know, oh, I don't like the vocals. There are really none. There's some like spoken word stuff here and there, but not a lot of vocals. Give these guys a chance. I mean, they're pretty big. A lot of people know them, but yeah, they're absolutely awesome. They also, for those people who are fans of Leon Bridges, they did do 2 EPs with Leon Bridges, Texas Moon and Texas Sun. In fact, I think Texas Sun was actually a pretty big radio hit. So check those out if that's what you're into. If not, also cool too. I appreciate y'all watching and let me show you some more cool shit. I probably enjoy showing cool shit more than people enjoy seeing me. So take care. Have a good one. Screen's over here, I guess. Be good. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.